Hey, welcome, welcome back. If you watched the first segment, you saw things got a little bit out of hand. You know, we just do our best. Sometimes shit gets out of hand. Not much we can say about it. We didn't prepare very well for this week. I mean, I did, but we did a lot of stuff that we're not going to end up using this week. So this week is kind of like we're digging through the trash. And of course, when you start digging through the trash, you start finding people like Adam Conover and Tony Khan. You know, they're in there with the roaches. But I think this next part, we're going to just talk about conspiracy theories, just kind of in general, just for fun. Because I got a little theory about it. You know about this, right, LD?
About conspiracy theories?
Uh-huh. Well, we'd like to watch QAnon Anonymous.
Oh, yeah.
Or, well, we don't watch that.
We listen to.
We listen to QAnon Anonymous. But
yeah,
they're
pretty awesome. I enjoy them a lot.
They're good. They're great. You know, they tell you about where these conspiracies come from, but I started getting my own theory about these conspiracies, and guess what I figured out about the conspiracies?
What's that?
They're a conspiracy.
Oh, just conspiracies in general?
That's a conspiracy, yes.
Okay.
All right, so what we're going to talk about right now is a very controversial subject. It's called abortion. Okay? So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to take all the feelings and emotion out of this subject. I know it's hard to do because it's a very, it's a very tender thing to talk about. And you can see even on both sides of it, because we are aligned, we're a fence sitter. We don't take a side, and we proudly don't take a side because it's really fucking annoying when you tell me I got to, because I ain't got to. Fuck you. I don't have to take a side if I don't want to. Eat a dick. So, I'm not telling you what I think about abortion right now. I'm telling you about the conspiracy behind it that is most likely to actually be true. So, you got the two sides of the abortion debate, right?
Mm-hmm.
One side says, we don't want to kill babies. Okay? Other side says, this is my body. And I should have a right to say what's going to happen with it. Now, that is the most generic, streamlined way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the popular conspiracy side of things is to say that that the big government wants lower income poor people. They want you to like abort your babies so they can take the babies and get the adrenochrome out of them. That's what they say. And the proof for that is movies. You know, they say that when you see things in movies, that's Hollywood preparing you so that whenever that day comes to pass, where something happens, that you're ready for it and it seems normal to you. I think it's more the opposite. I think the people behind movies are making the conspiracies.
Sorry. That was my cat. I apologize.
Let him out.
I didn't know he was in here.
He don't want no part of this.
Sorry.
He don't want any part of this conversation. Okay, so they say that this idiotic idea is what they believe that, and then so many of their ideas come from movies. From obviously the White Squall movie that nobody fucking likes except your 60-year-old grandfather back in the 90s thought it was awesome. I don't
remember that
White
one.
Squall?
Yeah.
It's about a bunch of like fucking adolescent boys. Well, I guess adolescent, like teenager to grown, just about boys on a sailboat.
Oh.
And there's a white squall. And then when they say, where we go one, we go all. Right?
Oh.
And so that's where that comes from.
Okay. Oh.
Because all that QAnon stuff comes from movies, which is why it's so freaking stupid. Like, it's so obviously dumb on the face of it. But they believe it because it's fun. Whatever. But their big excuse is that all these things are hidden in the movies.
Right.
But I think it doesn't make sense, you know. What I actually think makes sense, hold on. Like, we got to bring it back to abortion, right? So, you have abortion, right? And this is where usually it's more like people that don't expect to be having a baby. And let's be honest, rich people are still going to get their abortions.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be just poor people that have unwanted pregnancies that are going to want abortions. So, why the hell would the rich people give shit about it? Think about it. They give a shit because they need the poor people to run the gas station, run the registers. They need them to do the cheap-ass jobs that none of their kids are going to ever do.
Oh.
So they don't want to pay for poor people, like, for welfare to raise their kids, but they will a little bit because they want them just to be alive so that they can then do all the stuff they don't want to do and get paid as cheaply as possible to do it. So it is a conspiracy. But the conspiracy is they want to have as many poor babies as possible because it also keeps the mothers poor too, so that they don't have competition on one end with their stupid Nepo babies that are basically useless. And and they keep the world running. They keep the cheap labor going.
I like that phrase, Nepo babies.
Nepo babies? Yeah.
I like that.
That's what all these rich people, they have these babies. Nepo babies. One of them's name is Tony Khan. Well, we're going to be digging into his asshole a little bit later. And he'll probably smile when we do it. He'll probably enjoy it. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Anyway, if you find yourself, wanting to believe these conspiracy theories, and if you don't want to believe the narrative of the mainstream media, I don't blame you there, because there are definitely some bullshit going on there. But to decide that you're just going to listen to some idiot like me instead that has no evidence to back it up, it's funny that you can believe that the moon landing was faked in 1969, but this document you read on the internet's got to be fucking true. That says the most insane thing that you just want to believe.
But it's a document.
See, that's the big problem, because people want to believe it.
Yeah.
If you really want to know what the truth is, you need to separate yourself from what you want to believe and from your fantasy. We can segue right into doomsday preppers.
Oh, yeah. That's, right? Yeah.
Because doomsday preppers, they're the same kind of thing. I love watching these videos about them. The funniest thing about these doomsday bunkers specifically, the funny thing is, to be a doomsday prepper, you have to decide which doomsday is going to happen.
Right. And then focus on that.
For that specifically.
Yeah.
So you're fucked, right? When it's a dirty bomb and it actually turns out to be zombie apocalypse,
you're kind of fucked.
You got all the wrong shit. Well, I mean, there's a bunch of problems with this kind of thinking.
Yeah.
One of them, the biggest problem is it's a fantasy. And you see this in the way they use tactics. They say, well, this is my house, or my doomsday prep thing. We watched a video last night about these guys, and they had like a couple houses on a giant piece of property with a fence around it. And every time the guy goes back to this property, he like clears it like military did. He goes through and like, clear. Is anybody in here? Clear.
But he has his wife and children.
And it's just his family there, right?
Yeah.
So this is what I'm talking about when I say fantasy. He's using the real military strategies to clear a house. However, those strategies are built with the mindset of you have an army. So you have these 4 to 5, 6 people go and clear a house, right? The idea is they clear the house, but some of them might not make it. And that's what they signed up for. That's their job.
Right.
And thank God they do it, I guess, sometimes, depending on what the situation is.
Yeah.
But I hope none of them die from it. But
right.
That being said, the idea is you got your first guy. He goes in and he goes straight.
Mm-hmm.
As I understand it, he goes straight forward. And then the guy right behind him checks the first corner. And the guy right behind him checks the second corner. The guy behind him checks the third corner. And then the other ones clean up. Right?
Right.
The point is, they have an army of people after them. Or, plans after that to continue with that military action.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's you and your family clearing your little house out in the middle of nowhere, okay, what if there's 5 people in that room?
Mm-hmm.
So you came in that room pointing this way, and then what? Your wife's supposed to come in and point this way and get the next guy?
Right.
And the next, your child is supposed to come in after that? And they already got the wife and the mom, but now the child's all by themselves. But hopefully they can kill that last person and figure out how to survive all by themselves.
Right. And you got your 8-year-old son coming in helping you clean.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy.
Yeah.
And then this guy is 300 pounds. I'm not in good shape, but I'm not preparing for the end of the world. I don't have a bunker. The first thing I would do is even see if I could get in good shape. Once I got in good shape, then it might be worth it to try to have a bunker, right?
Right.
Because if what is this guy going to do? Stockpile his insulin? I don't think that's even possible. I think he was a doctor, though. So
he was a doctor.
Maybe he could get a hold of insulin, and maybe he did have a stockpile of it for himself.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's all a fantasy. I once had a friend of mine who told me that he had a compound, he had some land.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, let me tell you what. When doomsday hits, your family's welcome to come camp out on my land. And they can stay there. But I'm the boss, though, because I own this land. And I'm just thinking, yeah, right,
Right.
That piece of paper, so you're the boss? Who's going to enforce that paper? You?
Right, exactly.
Against me? Okay. See how that works out.
Yeah.
Anyway, we started with conspiracy. It's all wrapped together. This is the same kind of
It's
thing.
all, yeah.
It's all fantasy.
Right.
And you're not thinking about it realistically. And if you're getting mad at what I'm saying right now, you need to take a hard look in the mirror and be a little bit more truthful and more humble. Mm-hmm. And look at yourself and realize you're an idiot.
And that's...
Because I'm an idiot. LD is an idiot sometimes.
Yeah, but I can admit it.
Yes,
I know that about myself. Yeah.
Because if you want to have any kind of defense against anything, the first thing you have to understand is somebody might be smarter than you.
Absolutely.
And they might figure out a way.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the conspiracy theory stuff goes, I think you really need to take a hard look at who's benefiting from your conspiracy theory.
Right.
Follow the money, as one idiot liked to say, which is actually true, although he never seems to follow the money in the right direction. And follow the money, because people are making money off of you guys.
We all have things we want to believe in and we wish were true, but a lot of times they're just not. And you invest so much time into some theory, you want to believe so much is true. When you start seeing evidence that it's not, you can't admit it to yourself. You know what I mean? Point, so people get stuck in a loop, I guess, of it.
It's like last segment. I thought for the life of me, I would come up with something to say. But I didn't.
No, that's true.
And it just went totally off the rails.
It did.
LD said you need to drink water next time, and I agreed to it. But now we're on camera, she can't hit me.
But the ending was good. I really enjoyed the song.
I think we brought it back down to level.
Yeah.
And this is not a definitive statement. It's not the end of the line.
Right.
There's a lot of wiggle room here. And if anybody's has something to say about what I said, positive or negative, please let us know.
Yeah.
We'll put you up on the whiteboard if it's really dumb. However, we do appreciate anybody that watches.
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry. I always think of the right words to say. But sometimes they don't come out the way I planned them to. But if you stay long enough, I promise you, you'll fall for me.
Absolutely.